Hey guys, welcome to the Family First Live Get to 20K call every Tuesday morning. My name is Stephen Yee. I'll be your host today, but today I'm very blessed to have one of my friends, Tobe O, who's going to be joining us. Dude, Tobe, how old are you, man?
25.
You're 25.
Yeah.
And you've been in FFL for how long?
4 months.
4 months.
Well,
So
this is my 5th month.
This is your 5th month. And we got a chance to meet at conference when you were brand new, basically a month or 2 months into the business, and you wrote 20 grand. And how much business did you write last month by yourself?
100,000.
100,000. So like, here's what's crazy, right? Like I've been in this industry for a little bit. And if you would have told me that issuing $100,000 in a month was like normal, I'd be like, you're crazy.
Right.
Right. Especially for someone that's been in the industry for a while. So let's dive into it, man. Like, how did you find Family First Live? Let's begin with that.
Yeah. So it was social media at the point where I made the move. But prior to that, when I had gotten in the industry, because I was in the industry prior for about a year, I was the immediate moment I got in the industry, I got several emails from Family First Live talking about 100% comp. And at the time I was at a 40%. So in my head, I'm like, that's a scam. And obviously I showed my managers as well over there. I'm like, 100%? And they were like, nah, that's not real. So I just kind of threw it out to the side. And then a year later, we were obviously trying to build an agency over at my previous experience. And none of our individuals were making any money. So obviously my eyes started kind of wandering a little bit to see what we could do better. And a few people had left from my company to Family First Life, and we're killing it. So kind of looked into it, looked at the training, watched the YouTube videos, and then I searched Instagram. I saw Marissa, saw Ashley. I messaged both of them, and we got on a call, and they answered all of my questions, and we kind of made the move at that point.
Nice. Now, at the previous company you worked at, did they have leads?
Free leads.
Free leads. So was it the child safety kit leads?
Yes.
Those are the good ones.
Those are the
For those of you that are on the call that don't know, those are not very good. Those are what we call the bait and switch leads. But it's perfectly fine. Got it. So like you came here, right? So like at that previous company, from what I understand, at least, they can control how many leads you get a month based on how you
correct.
Right?
Very correct. Very correct.
So like, let's say you get here and, Tobe is a brand new producer, goes, man, I want to get 100 leads a week or, 300 leads a week. Is that different from the normal in the industry? Because you get to control your cash flow at that point, correct?
Yeah. Yep. And for me, Stephen, that was the one. So for me, the decision to move was more so for my desire to build an organization, to build an agency. So I kind of looked at what would be best for the agent, and you can't even compare it, because Family First Life is so set up to favor that brand new agent that just started yesterday, to actually set them up to go out and make money, because they control the lead flow. I had so many times where people on quote unquote my team would come to me and ask me for leads, and then I have to go to that person that controls the leads, and that person says, well, she didn't work last week, so she's only gonna get 20 leads this week. It's like no one's gonna make money off 20 leads, right? So that was the biggest challenge for me, was people not controlling the lead flow and me not controlling my lead flow.
Right. That was one of the things I learned early on, man. It's like, Paul McLean says constant, he says lead flow is cash flow. And I'm like, no, I like to take that further and go, constant lead flow is constant cash flow. Because if I just give you leads once, you're done. You don't have anything else. You know what I mean? But the consistency of being able to get leads at any rate you want, that's where you're able to scale your business. So let's dive into your schedule, man. So like your first month, you come out banging it. How much did you write your first month?
27.
27 your first month. That's pretty strong, dude. It took me like forever to write that type of premium, right? And then you scale obviously all the way up to 100,000. What changed from month 1 to month 4?
Like you mentioned, the schedule. I got a little bit more intense with the schedule, but more importantly is the lead flow.
Okay.
Like that's the most important thing, is the lead flow.
what were you spending, or how many leads were you getting when you were doing 27,000 versus 100,000 a month?
500 per day, 400, about 1,000 a week.
1,000 new leads a week?
Well, not necessarily new leads, but
A
you
thousand
know,
leads.
1,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they were new to you, is what you're saying.
$1,000.
Oh, got it. $1,000
Yeah.
worth of leads. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, man, you spent $1,000. Like it makes, I mean, 1,000 new leads a week. I get it. That's probably why you have 100,000
Right.
ish you paid. Got it. So you scaled from 500 a week to 1,000 a week. That's what you were basically saying.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So like when you got on the phone, one of the things that a lot of people struggle with here is being on the phone. What type of leads were you running when you were spending your $1,000? I mean, a lot of people go, oh, well, Toby probably is running all the mortgage protection and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, dude, he's not. Right. What type of leads are you running out in your area?
So it's the same leads I started running that I'm still running. So all CRM leads, like the instance, I love instance, the new internet life, the 1 month, the 3 month, I dip into some CRM mortgage. So not any locked out counties or anything like that. But 98% of my business is literally internet leads.
Why do you like those?
Because it's quick. I mean, I can get them now.
Right.
If they're in the CRM, and I'm traveling, so I need to make a decision like now and decide where I'm gonna go. So it's quick. I mean, I order 200, they get into my in 2 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's been huge for me because I can literally just get on the phones right now.
Got it. So what are some of the biggest objections you get with, being on the phone with internet leads? Because I mean, I'm assuming some people say, hey, I don't remember filling it out, or some people say, I already got it taken care of. How does a 100K a month producer overcome those objections?
The number one way to overcome those objections is literally buy more leads.
Love it, man. I love that answer.
Right. Your confidence literally quadruples when you have more leads.
Right.
And for some reason, the less you care, the more appointments you book. For some reason, I don't know how the math works, but that's just what it is. So I think the number one thing for me was I don't think I really got better on the phones. I was still booking at the same rate, right? But I just talked to more people and had more solid appointments because I had more leads. So that's the number one thing. And then to really answer your question, the primary objection you're going to get is, I didn't fill that out, or I already took care of it, or 100 people are calling me about this. And you kind of have to deal with those differently. But those would be the 2-3 major objections you're going to get.
So let's dive into that, since we're moving in a space right now with FFL where instance and internet life leads are so much of what we do. Let's just pretend you called me, right? And you called me and I'm like, hey, I already got it taken care of, right? Which basically means I bought an insurance policy over the phone, for those of you that know, right? So like, how are you overcoming that objection?
So a very relevant point you brought up there is most of the people that say that actually just took care of it over the phone. And we know the company that does that. I don't know if we're saying names, and I know what their plans are. It's nothing compared to what we do. So if a client says to me, hey, I already took care of that, I'm like, that's not a problem, Steve. I'm actually just a local state underwriter. My job is just to verify that all of these files were recorded. That way we can take your name off the list.
Nice.
Now, what I'm going to do for you, Steve, is I'm going to put a note on here saying you've already taken care of this, but I'll put you down on my schedule. Like I said, I'm going to be out there tomorrow. It takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to ask you the right questions to get your name off this stuff. Are you going to be home early in the afternoon or later in the evening? And then I proceed to set the appointment like that.
Dude, and when you get into those, how many times do you replace what we can offer versus what they already have?
If it's the company that I just mentioned, it would be literally 70%.
Nice.
Right? Because it's not even close. But you have to approach it the right way, because I don't try to bash it. I just try to explain to them what they have and proceed from there.
Yeah, that's what I think a lot of new agents make a mistake of, is they go, no, I know what you have. The product you bought is crap. So like, I need to come by and put you in a better situation. I need to strengthen your position. I'm like, dude, now we're getting confrontational. And
Right.
being confrontational never works, especially
Yeah,
if
you
you're
don't
in
want to do
sales,
that.
right? So
Right.
got it. So that's if they tell you that they already got it taken care of. What if they say they don't remember filling it out?
So it's very similar approach. If they say, you know, I don't remember filling it out, you know, that's not a problem, Steve. That's what a few of the clients that we help out say as well. But this was the one that you had sent in online. You put down your date of birth as 10/10/75. I'm assuming that's correct, right?
Yep.
Now, Steve, you also put down on here that the delivery address for the information, you wanted that to go to 2300 South Boulevard. I'm assuming that's correct, right?
Right.
Okay, perfect. Well, Steve, like I said, I'm actually just the local state underwriter. My job is very simple. It's to get the information out to you because you requested it, let you know what your options are. Whatever you choose to do with it, obviously, is completely up to you. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do, man. I'm going to do you a favor. I'm actually pretty stacked up tomorrow. They shot me out there tomorrow. I know you said you're working 9 to 5 and you're single. So I will squeeze you in. I don't have a 6. I don't have a 6:30, but I'll squeeze you in between 7 to 7:15. Any reason you would not be home at that time?
I should be home. That's
Okay,
solid.
now, Stephen, is that a should be or is that a you will be home? Just to be sure.
I will be home.
All right, perfect. Then I'll proceed at that point.
Dude, I love it, man. Cool, man. I mean, dude, that's for any of you guys that are running instance or even just internet leads. Like, if you know how to overcome those two objections, your money, right? And I say that because a lot of agents, this is what I tell people, Toby. It's like the difference between a veteran producer and a new agent producer is we get all the same objections. It's just that the vets heard it so many times that their response on their rebuttal is automatically coming out the mouth before the client can even finish their sentence. Right. It's
Right.
because we've heard it so many times. There's so many things you can tell us on the phone that we've never heard before. You know what I mean? So cool, man. So got it. So you're running instance, you're running a lot of them, you know, you're booking the appointments and you're getting in. When you get into the home, what are you doing? Like, are you bringing a lead card? You showing your ID, your state badge? What are you doing to set the table with the client?
Yeah. So obviously we want to take immediate control when we walk in the home. Every top producer preaches that. So everything I do in home, man, is I'm a product of all of the Hall of Fame producers. A lot of people from your team as well. I listen to their training. So when I get in to the home, you know, first thing I obviously you knock on the door, they come. A good bit of the time, those people say, well, I forgot about our appointment 20-30% of the time. You know, I'm like, well, Steve, that's not a problem. Good thing I didn't forget about you. You want my shoes on or shoes off?
I love it.
You know, they say shoes on most times. So I walk in, we're walking straight to the table, natural conversation, nothing fancy, nothing pre-planned either, just natural conversation. When we sit down at the table, I like to just get into business. I'm more of a respect and trust type of guy than a friendly rapport kind of guy, right? So I rather they respect what I do rather than just like me, for instance. So I jump right into business. I pull out my iPod and I show them. I say, Steve, go ahead and verify this information. This is a transcript of the request that I received in my office. They look at it, they verify the date of birth, all of that stuff. I'm like, okay, perfect. So most clients that send this into my office, Steve, is typically the same 2 to 3 concerns. The first one for most families is, God forbid, they want to make sure if they died yesterday, that, you know, their family wakes up today, they have money coming into the home to cover funeral costs. All of those financial hardship that would be transferred to the family, they want to make sure that's taken care of. The second biggest concern for most families is, like we have people that depend on us financially. So a lot of families want to make sure if they passed away yesterday, that over the next 6 months, a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that they have their income coming into at least guarantee food on the table and a roof over their family's head. Third typical concern is just families that want to leverage a legacy, leave something behind for the family. Out of those 3 concerns, what were you most concerned about? That way I can best guide you while I'm here.
First one.
Okay, so first one being, you want to make sure if you died yesterday, today we have money coming into the home.
Yep.
Okay, and Steve, let me ask you this. Who would be the person picking up the pieces if you died yesterday?
My wife.
Your wife. Okay, so probably your wife is here in this example. She would have to be. Okay, and your wife's name is Mary, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Now, is this something you guys had talked about for a while? Like, what triggered this to kind of come into play? What triggered this for you guys?
Recent friend of ours passed away, so we were thinking about life insurance.
Gotcha. What was your friend's name?
Charles.
Charles. Okay. And Charles passed away when?
A few weeks ago.
Few weeks. Okay, so it was recent.
Yeah.
And then my guess is you guys just hopped on and said, okay, we need to take care of this ASAP.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually fair, Steve. That's what most families kind of wait for. You know, we're all human, so we wait for that trigger before we decide to take action. Now my guess is you guys, like most families, you guys pushed this back, procrastinated on this a little bit. Is that about fair?
Yeah, safe to say.
Safe to say. Okay. And Steve, same thing for you. If your wife Mary died yesterday, you're the one probably picking up the pieces, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know you guys are both retired, so we actively don't have anything through the job, nothing like that, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, Steve. So we would be able to help you guys out with that today. But before I jump into anything, just to give you a little bit of information about myself and what I do. My name is Tobe. I'm a local state underwriter and a broker. So this is my license through my resident states signed by the Commission of Insurance. Okay. On the back of this, you're going to see all of the carriers that I work with, at least a few of them. So like I said, I'm a broker. All that means for you, Steve and Mary, is that I'm going to take a look at a few options to basically find out what you guys are best fit for. Okay. I'm not just tied to one company. So today we have two major objectives, Steve. The first objective is going to be health. Nothing else comes before health. I understand how important this is for you guys, but nothing else is going to come before your health. We have to get your HIP form done, which lets us know what you're actually eligible for. Okay. And I'm going to also ask you some medical questions as well. The second most important thing for me, Steve, is going to be your budget. I'm huge into the budget. I like to tell my clients, you don't need to get the biggest, baddest insurance plan. You just need to make sure something is in place today so that if you died, your family is going to be taken care of. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So for my due diligence, Steve, just to clarify, whatever we put in place for you today, it has to make financial sense. If not, I would not partake in that. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through the health. We're going to run through the budget. At that point, I'm going to ask you for about 2 minutes because I'm going to do some shopping around. Once I find the right company for you and Mary, Steve, I'm going to basically show you guys three options. Okay. The maximum they would probably let you qualify for today, somewhere in the middle, and a more conservative option. All you do today, man, is you let me know which one you like the best, which one makes the most sense for you. I'm not the insurance company, Steve. I wish I was. A lot of my clients wish I was as well. I cannot get you approved. So we're going to send up the application to the insurance company. It's going to take them either 2 days to 2 weeks to get you approved. If they approve you, you're good to go, policy in the mail. We're going to send you a thank you letter, a congratulations letter. It's all going to be married. But if for whatever reason they decline you, do not worry, I'm not going to forget about you. I'm going to give you a call, explain what happened, explain the reasoning, and we're just going to pivot to a different company. Remember the companies I told you? Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. So that's the process. And after that, I do annual reviews with every single client of mine, so we can make any adjustments at that point. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Steve, do you have any questions about that process so far?
No.
Everything make perfect sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And at that point, I jump into the financial inventory.
So when you close, are you going top down, 3 options? What are you doing for them?
3 options.
Okay. So like for those of you guys that are brand new, we say what we mean is, a lot of times there's some agents that just give you one option and they work down, right? And then there's some agents, it's what I've done, it's what Toby does. There's a lot of top producers do it, and everybody has their own flavor, I guess you can say. I like giving clients three options. They pick the one they want. That's the one we're going with. You know what I mean? So Toby, what's your, so when you show the 3 options, you explain the benefit, how are you getting them to agree they want to buy insurance? Are you saying anything magical? Are you, how are you quote unquote closing the deal?
Right. So proactively, before we get into the numbers, after I do the financial inventory and I clear the budget, I'm going to spend about another, now maybe 3 minutes, but before I would spend about 5 to 7 minutes on the why. Again, like digging deeper into what it looks like, really asking more in-depth questions about it till we get to the point where it's like, well, that's why you're here, man. Until they literally have that, like,
right,
dude, that's what you're here for, bro. Stop asking me these questions. So I would ask them what it looks like, what's going to happen, where they're going to go. If they're going to go to their brother's house. Is the brother married? Where's the brother? So you're going to have to travel over there. Just get more clarity about it. to where there's no confusion about if we're buying insurance or not. Right. So I would never show a number until we are all in agreement. So I would literally say, Steve, Mary, so it looks like we're all in agreement that we need to put something in place today. Is that about fair?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Because if we don't, we just went over what would happen. And I'm sure that's exactly what you guys are trying to avoid, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to need about 2 minutes here, gather some of my numbers, go into I go into that. And then when I pull the numbers, I write it down top to bottom. So I have it presidential, executive, and a standard plan is how I list it out.
I like it.
Perfect. So the standard, I'm going to say, for instance, let's say this is just which it is, the final expense. So let's say the standard is going to be 15,000. And let's say I threw an additional 50,000 accidental on that. So Steve, Mary, the standard plan for you guys is going to give each of you guys 15,000. Okay. What that's going to do is going to cover the funeral cost completely today. Okay. We don't know that it would cover the funeral cost 30 years from now because of inflation, but you have the peace of mind knowing if you passed away today, this covers the funeral cost. I also threw an additional 50,000 each in accidental because you guys drive around a lot, like you said. So if something happens in that process, the spouse gets an additional 50,000 on top of the 15. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
For that, both of you guys are going to be setting about 135 once a month. Okay. Now you can start there if you just were looking to do something more conservative. Now the executive is going to be giving you guys 20,000 each with that 100,000 accidental. What this is going to do for you is going to do X, Y, Z. Leave a little bit extra behind. You guys are going to be setting aside 201 once a month. And the presidential plan, Steve, Mary, this is going to be the maximum they could probably shoot for you guys today. It's going to be 30,000, okay, with that 150,000 accidental. So it's going to protect, the funeral costs and leave a little bit extra behind for a couple 6 months of income, okay? Now for that, you guys are going to be setting aside 294 once a month. Now, like I said, Stephen, Mary, we can't make any guaranteed approvals today because the insurance company still has to review the applications. They still have to make sure you guys are qualified to get the plans. But if they come back in the application and say you guys are approved, out of these three options, Steve, which one makes the most sense? Which one do you want to leave behind for Mary?
The presidential one.
And let's say Mary says the same thing as well. Perfect. So, Steve, we will try our best to get you approved at the presidential. If we need to make any changes later, we're going to do so. Okay?
Perfect.
So I'm going to need a couple things from you. I need a driver's license. It must be active. And either a voided check or bank statement that has your name on it. And I'm going to start filling this out for you, okay?
Sweet. And that's how you do it. Dude,
That's
so
how I do it.
for those of you that are listening, he dropped like 15 nuggets right there in the last 3 minutes. So the way he closes, the way Toby closes is the way that most people close. So if you're struggling closing, it's, hey, out of the three options that I showed you, which one do you like best? Wow, that's such a tough close, right? The other thing that I will tell you that, I never used to do this in home. I mean, I wish if I could go back in the field right now, I'd do the same. I love the presidential, executive, standard, right? It's like most people don't want to be standard. They want to be executive or presidential, right? It makes sense. The third thing I wanted to touch on, and I did this a lot in the field, but a lot of agents don't really do that. Do you throw accidental on top of every final expense policy that you can?
Yeah, 100%.
So you throw new accidental, or what are you throwing on there?
Typically mutual.
Okay.
Mutual of Omaha.
So you're putting a American Eagle Premier, $15, $20, $30,000 policy, and then you're going boom, another 50,000, 100,000 add on top of that.
Strong, yep.
Why? I know the reason why, but why?
Value, man. And big numbers. People want to see big numbers. So, when they see 100,000, it's like, and then they see $93 in premium, it makes more sense. If they only saw 15, not saying you can't close off 15,000 with 93, but as much value as you can provide, why not, basically?
Right. And the previous practice company you came from, that's what they were known for. 20,000 of whole life, $50 million in accidental. And then when you talk to the clients, you're like, how much insurance do you have? I have $80 million worth of insurance. Pull a policy out, you're like, no, you don't. You got 5,000. You know what I mean? So, but see, the other reason why I started doing that, Toby, was number one, you don't know how someone's going to die. Like, we don't play God, that's a big, I'm not trying to be funny here, but you know, Trey talks about a story how we had this lady in SoCal where she was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the grave, dude. Like she was ready to go. Somehow
Wow.
she got approved with one of our carriers. And after she got the policy, like 3 weeks later, she got hit by a car on a crosswalk and died. Dude, we didn't throw out, like, that agent did not throw accidental on that client. So
Yeah,
like
it's
instead of getting a $100,000 death benefit, the family only got 15. You know what I mean? Like,
you're right.
we don't play God. We don't know how someone's gonna die. And you can say, oh, the old lady doesn't drive. Correct. But she took a walk and got hit by a car. Right. So like why do we do it? Because number one, we're looking out for the family. Nobody ever dies and goes, I wish I had less insurance. Right. Number one. Number two, when you package and bundle things together, people keep it longer. There's no other way to say it. When you package, like, why do you guys, most of you guys on the call, you guys have your home and auto with the same person? Why? Because they bundled you. Right. It's like the same thing we do. Like, that's why I'm like, if I know Colton Dewar is on here and I love the guy because he writes so much insurance, but Colton doesn't have a health license. And I'm like, dude, Colton, you're probably missing out like 60 G's a year not having a health license because you cannot add that accidental on top. And for me, it's like I always said, hey, kind of like you, Toby, hey, you're gonna get, $100,000 death benefit and like a $500,000 accidental if something were to happen to you, if you got job related death or blah, 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 your family's covered, for the whole thing. And dude, like they would always be like, I'm in. And the paper app, by the way, here's another secret for those of you on the phone, on the call. If you're going to do Moo Accidental, bring the paper app. It's only 3 pages. It's a lot quicker than their e-app, right? 2 signatures, press hard, we're good.
Mhm.
So cool, man. So Toby, let's talk about schedule, right? So you're issued $100,000 in a month. You're running average 25,000 a month. How many appointments are you running?
So I try to stay around between 35. On a strong week, it would be like 44, but 35 to 44, that range right there.
So are you running the usual Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday run schedule that everybody else is running?
100%. Now, except in the case where I travel on a day and I have to use that day as the Dow day and then run the next 2 days, but the same structure, 100%.
Got it. So you're running 35, 44 a week. So you're running anywhere from 9 to 11, 12 appointments a day.
A day, right?
Got it. Now, how much premium do you think you get on the weekends?
I mean, most of it really would be on the weekends, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Most of my business comes on those days.
What if you could put it in a percentage? What do you think it is?
I would say, to be fair, I would say because I would say 60, 70%.
Yeah. So 2/3 of my business as well used to come on just the weekends. And when I always saw brand new agents that didn't want to work the weekends, it blew me away because I was like, it was number one, the easiest day to sell, right? Because everybody was home. Number two, people were happy because they're not at work. And it's like, I don't know why, like if you're trying to get this life insurance career off the ground and going, I'm like, why wouldn't you want to work those 2 days? Because it's the easiest day to get premium. If every top producer says, hey, 2/3 of my premium comes from the weekend, why don't you run the weekends? Brandon Kitchen says that. Colton Dewar just wrote 22 grand this past weekend, says the same thing. It's like, why don't we run on the weekend? You know what I mean? So got it. So the regular agent or the normal person runs like 20 to 25 appointments. We as a company say run 30 appointments a week. You go, hey, I'm going to go above and beyond and run 35, 45 appointments a week.
Correct.
You're just working harder than everybody else.
Yeah, man, because my viewpoint is I'm not good enough. I mean, if you look around the company, I mean, there's just some studs.
I don't know how you run 100 grand and don't think you're good enough, but I'm with you though.
Yeah. So it's just for me, it was like, if I wanted to actually do 100, I mean, I have to put in overtime. I had to put in extra work. And I know people that would have put in less work and did it. But for me, I mean, and I think for a lot of new agents starting off as well, is you're probably not good enough as well. Why don't you just put in that extra work so you can get to where you want to be faster?
Right. So man, that's so money, dude. Like, what was crazy is when I had my biggest month and it was nowhere near where you are. I look back at that month, Toby, and I was like, dude, I didn't work that hard. I went full time, but I wasn't like exhausted to the point where I couldn't do it again. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you raise the lid and you go, oh, this is what it's like to be an adult. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like, and you're like,
Right.
oh, got it. Like, this is what running 35, 40 appointments is. And, you know, most appointments are 45 minutes to an hour. So, you know, most people go, well, I drove 3 hours to an appointment. I'm like, dude, some people drive 3 hours in LA traffic to work. The company didn't pay them, dude. Commute doesn't count, right? It
Right.
counts when you're in the home only. So that's the other thing, man. How do you think a brand new agent right now can go, hey, I'm struggling. I'm not issuing 20 grand a week or 20 grand a month. You know, how can I get to where you are right now?
Um, so I would say kind of just first things first is obviously I understand the belief factor for most people. I think everybody struggles with belief sometimes. Um, but you need to learn how to kind of steal belief from other people. So I would look at the leaderboards and I would steal belief from Colton. I hope I said his name right. You know, I was still belief from him. If I see 22 grand, someone did 22 grand in a weekend, I can at least do 6 grand in a week.
Right.
Like that's what I'm going to tell myself is I'm going to still believe and try to inspire myself from that and continuously do that because starting off, again, the business is simple. It's not complicated. Anybody can do it. But starting off, you might not have certain things down yet, but just looking around and plugging into podcasts and training, you're able to listen to Steve G, Colton, Brandon, Stephen Yee, just tap into their training. You're going to get their belief and their conviction. Before you know it, you're going to be in the home talking like how Stephen talks, sounding like what he sounds like, saying what he says, and you're going to get the result he gets. So for me, I would say to everybody, you know, for one, be willing to put in the work because what we do, we work hard for it. It's not all roses, but it's very simple and anyone can do it. So tap into training, still believe from other people, and then just go to work.
I love that, man. You know, like the other thing I wanted to ask you is, you know, prior to being in the insurance industry, how long would it have taken you to make 100 grand?
3 years.
Few years.
3 years.
3
3 years,
years.
actually. Yeah.
Right. Me too. Right. Because I wasn't in some high paid career or whatever it was. And that the fact that we can come here and just work 50, 60, 70 hours a week to make what I would have made or what you would have made in 3 years and compress that into 1 month. Like, guys, we're buying time. That's all it really is, you know. And the other thing too is like I'm pretty sure because I know you're growing and building a big business. We're not writing 100 grand to put in the savings account, guys. We're writing the 100 grand to be able to fund the business
Mhm.
so that a year or two from now, I don't have to be selling insurance for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest things that I learned about this business was able to get my time back. Like I say this because, you know, the little things matter in life, especially when you have a family. When I was in the field, Toby, I would never be able to have dinner with my family. Like my daughter didn't know who I was to some degree because when she would wake up, I was already gone. And when I came home, she was already asleep. Like I would never eat dinner with my wife or my family, like, except for like 1 or 2 days a week, right? It's like, but now we've been able to sell at a very high level, fund the business, and now we're no longer in the field, but I get to have dinner with my family every day. It's a different place to be in. And it's because all it is we're buying time back from the work that we're putting in. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
hey guys, if you have any questions for Toby, drop them in the chat box or the Q&A section right now. We'll turn it into the Q&A in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Toby, let's talk about, you know, so you've obviously wrote at a high level. I mean, do you have agents on your team that are trying to mimic what you do? And if so, like, what are you telling them?
Yeah. So I have currently, I'll say 6 to 8 agents. I would have to actually count, but so we're just in the beginning phase. Obviously, just trying to establish leaders on the team that want to make it work, that want to produce at a high level, want to build a big business. So I just try to communicate with them for one by leading from the front. You know, um, I don't want to ever for there to be a doubt in their minds that I'm not, you know, willing to do times 5 exactly what I'm asking of them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then obviously pushing them as well, like communicating with them daily. I'm not really babysitting anybody, but those that communicate with me that they want it, I obviously stay on them and talk to them daily about, you know, things that we could all do better to get better.
Got it. Yeah, John Backrun, he just commented. He said, if you don't have an accident license and you can't sell, move accidental, tack on Americo's ADB. It's a $1,000 face amount, with 100 to $400,000 worth of accidental. It's another add-on that you can use. I love that, John. Thank you for that.
That's huge.
Tobe, let's dive into this part, man. And I'm just, what part of the country do you live in? I forget.
I live in North Carolina.
You live in North. What's the lead flow look like out there?
It's okay, but I'm not running there, so I don't really check on it. But it's not the greatest, just to be honest.
But that's the reason why you travel. Am I right? Like, you're not scared to get on a plane or get in your car and go run business out of state. Tobe, did I lose you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. So what I was saying is, like,
okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So I was saying, like, you travel to run business. So you're not scared to get on a plane, get in a car, drive to the destination, and actually run business outside of where you live, right? Why is that?
For one, that's what has to be done. That's kind of the primary reason. And I go where the leads are. I mean, the system works, so I'm not really, initially maybe I had some nerves doing it, but you still want to take action regardless of that. But again, you want to go where the leads are. If the leads are an hour from you, if it's 6 hours from you, wherever you have consistent lead flow, again, like you said, Stephen, consistent lead flow is consistent cash flow. So I'm not confused about that. Yeah.
Right. Cool. So Vaughn asks, can you go over the in-home before you start the financial inventory? Vaughn, we're going to put this video up on Facebook and YouTube, so you'll be able to watch it as many times as you need. It's great. Jamie asked, what was the accidental add-on? If you have a health license, James, it's Moo Accidental, Moo Guaranteed Advantage. If you don't, it's Americo HMS ADB. So Yadira asks, how do you repeat those three options that you close, Tobe? Like, when you give the three options, can you repeat the names and how you tack on that?
Yeah, so it would be the presidential, which is the highest, the executive, and the standard, which is a more conservative option. So I walk through with the client what the number they're going to get, and I also let them know what it's going to do for them. So I'm not just selling 15,000. I'm selling 15,000 and the peace of mind that if you die today, it's going to cover funeral costs. But I'm also realistic with the client that I can't promise this is going to cover you 30 years from now, because that's why they have the executive plan. And what that's going to do for you is XYZ. And then the presidential probably is the max you can get approved for today. I just add that on there. And I let them know what that's going to do for them as well. And then I do a takeaway, which I got from Paul McLean, to give credit where it's due. Now, Steve, we cannot, guarantee any approvals today because the insurance company still has to run through the application to make sure you are qualified for this. But if they got you approved, how much do you want to leave behind for your wife, Mary? So that's how I go through that.
Gotcha. Brandon Kitchings has a question for you, Tobe. He said, how many leads are you buying for a 3-day travel trip?
That's a great question, Brandon. I actually do my lead purchase. I kind of just base it off of the week. So the front end of my week could be heavy. The back end of my week could be kind of light. But I would say for I would say for if I'm trying to go 3 days straight in the field, I would say 1,500, 2,000.
Nice. Now, are you booking those appointments before you get there, or are you getting into the location and booking them?
So for me, my situation is different. I basically just go to the destination, settle in at my Airbnb or wherever I'm staying, and then I start my dial session.
Love it, dude. Love it. One of the questions from Colton Dewar, how much did you spend on leads in month 1 when you did 27,000 versus what was your lead bill when you did 100 grand?
Okay, so I did about 4,000 in lead cost in January. About 4,000 in lead cost in January, and then last month I spent about 13,000 in leads.
Got it. So $3,000 a week, right? Which is a great follow-up question. The following question is from Art, and he said, how long did it take for you to get your first belief check, and how quick were you able to scale to 3,000 to 5,000 a week in leads?
belief check is just, I think I know what that means, but what is that
Your
exactly?
first check, your first deposit.
How quick
That
was
this
it?
works.
Yeah, it was quick, man. It was quick, so I wasn't confused about it worked. So my previous experience, I mean, we had to learn like a 3-4 page script, and I'm not bashing any system, but we had to learn a 3-page script to be able to go in home, and it was completely bait and switch. I mean, they thought I was going in there for some sort of, like you mentioned, Steve, some sort of kit to protect their kids from being kidnapped. And then I switch up to, hey, but you can buy life insurance, and that's the real reason why I'm here. So that was a little bit of a learning curve, more of a learning process. Whereas here, I going from that to going into the home and saying, hey, why did you fill this out? And they tell you why they filled it out, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna help you with the application. And they were like, okay. I mean, so my first check was like, a couple days after my first field day. So it was like 48 hours. So at that point, I was like, okay, this is so duplicatable. It's crazy. I didn't need to learn some sort of 5-page script. I just needed to learn how to ask a question or a couple questions and then have control to say, I'm going to help you with this today.
Gotcha. Love it, man. Saul said, best advice for someone barely getting started part-time and doesn't have the funds to get that many leads.
Right. I think no one starts with the funds to have that many leads. And also the second part of the last question as well is you kind of scale up to it, right? So again, like I said, for me, my first lead purchase was actually like $70. My actual first lead purchase. Obviously that's stupid because I could have put in a little bit more. But going from 500 and you do 500 and you deposit, 5,000, it's like, oh God, okay. Then I put in another 500 and I deposit 4,000, and now all of a sudden I have 8,000. Let's say 1,000 charges back. Now I have 8,000 in my bank. Typically, the new person wants to hold on to that and run away from Family First Life and just go to Disneyland, like they say.
Right.
But what you should do at that point is, okay, I have 8,000. It's proven. It's a proven system. I'm gonna put in 1,000, 1,500 on leads. That way I get that money, 5-10 times up. So I would say just scale up to it. You're gonna know when you feel confident, when you have that luxury, you can do that. I would say scale up to that.
Right. Charmin asks, where are you buying your leads from?
So the CRM, 100% the CRM.
Got it. That's the Family First Life CRM.
Correct.
So the internet leads, the new internet, instant internet, 1 month, 2 month, 1 month, 3 month, old mortgage, all that stuff. Now, the other thing, and I want to be careful when we say this, because some of us on this call, you can get leads wherever you choose. I'm going to be very careful and say that. But here's what I want you to understand is like telemarketed leads are the devil. It's like the highest sued. And it's like, if it didn't work, we would never, if we used to run telemarketed leads, like telesales, live transfers, all that stuff. But we got sued so many times, we were like, we're not doing it anymore. You know what I mean? Because it violates TCPA and DNC. That's the beauty of FFL, that we don't have to be able to get leads that might put us in a lawsuit. So Tobe, can you talk about the importance of work spots? I mean, you're buying instant, new internet leads. Obviously you're buying a lot of leads in the CRM. Like work spots gives us massive discounts. Can you kind of talk about like how it's almost stupid for an agent not to be on that?
Dude, everything about FFL, man, excuse me, everything about FFL is like, how is the company even doing this stuff, right? You hear the comp, you're like, why are they doing that? They don't have to do that. So work spots is the same exact reaction I had to it. I wasn't confused about it at all. When I saw a 30% discount off internet leads, of instance, 30%. I don't know, I forget what the monthly thing is, like 99 or something like that.
It's $99 a month, dude.
It's insane. So for me, I love work spots. I mean, I'm on there, I'm waiting for the next discount, which a lot of it, they give a lot of discount. So literally you can save $1,000, $2,000 a month.
Yeah. Just for having work spots.
Just I would say you can save $1,000 a month just having work spots. So it's a no-brainer.
I love it, man. I love it. Corbin asks if you can hit I already have that again. Corbin, this will be up on the recording, so you can replay it as many times as you want. Robert Vasquez said, do you call the whole week for a weekend trip? How do you dial for a weekend trip?
So if I'm already where I want to, okay, so we're talking about a trip. So going there, I would typically, I try to run areas where I can drive to, that way I'm pretty flexible in my decision making. I don't have to wait for a plane. That's just my thing. So I would drive there, get an Airbnb or wherever I'm staying at. And that day I get there, if I get there, say 2:00 in the afternoon, I have 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. to dial for the next couple of days. And again, my lead flow is heavy to the point where at least I know I can fill up 2 field days if I dial for 7 to 8 hours. So yeah, for me, I wouldn't spend all week because I'm running business as well in those days. But I would make my mind up to go somewhere. I would run, get myself there, however you get there, and then I would dial. And I know people do it a different way. Some people would dial before traveling. I personally go there and literally just buy the influx of leads because I know it's going to work, and then just dial from there.
And the pressure's on, dude. You got to perform.
You have to make it work.
Right. So
back against the wall.
Exactly. Flo asked, is your phone script different when you're traveling out of state?
No, it's not. It's pretty much the same thing everywhere I go.
Perfect. Yadira asks, how do you handle, I just filled it out, the survey, and I'm not interested?
Okay, so is this on the phone or in the home?
This is on the phone, I'm assuming.
So it would be the exact same way. That's actually not a problem, Stephen. Now, I know you said you just filled out for the survey. That's actually what some of our clients do. I'm actually just a local state underwriter. So my job is pretty simple, is to get you the information that was requested so we can get your name off this list, okay? And then I transition to booking the appointment saying, okay, so I'm gonna do you a favor. I know you said you're not interested anymore, so I'm gonna put a note on here. However, I'm gonna be out there tomorrow getting these out to about 15, 16 other clients. You're working right now, you said 9 to 5. So what I'm gonna do is squeeze you in. I don't have a 6, I don't have a 6:30. I would squeeze you in between 7 to 7:15. So I basically just go about it that way.
I love it, man. And my answer to that is you get more leads.
And get more leads. That's the
right.
primary
It's like,
objection.
I'm not worried about one person if I have 100 leads to dial from. So, hey, Tobe, man, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for jumping on and sharing this knowledge with everybody on the call, man. The beauty of Family First Life is, and I always tell this to people, it's like, we're not all on the same team because we work with different agencies, but we're on the same team. We're Team FFL. And if we can help one another grow and be able to get better in this business, it's like, why not? You know what I mean? Like, that's the beauty of this business is, where I used to come from, it's like, I would try to do my best to not give you the information because you become my direct competitor. But the difference here is, like, if you were on our team or not, it's like, if I can show you how to build a big business and I can do the same for our group, then everybody wins. You know what I mean? So Tobe, right. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for taking time out your day. I know you're probably out there running appointments very soon too, so go kill it, but we appreciate you, man. And if I can return the favor, or if anybody on our team can, please let us know. All right. Thank you guys for jumping on. Hey, let's go close out the week strong. We have another run day soon, and then boom, June starts like in 3 days in terms of production. So let's go have a great, it's not how we start, it's how we finish. Let's go have a great one. Let's finish strong. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys jumping on.